Q, before I go to you, man, and I don't want to do a deep dive into this. I want to ask you guys, like, where do you think Joe Douglas went wrong, and what do you think, like, the play is now for the Jets? But before I do this, I want to play this clip from BT off of Silent BT, and I want your opinion on this. And he says he's basically saying this is the biggest failure in New York sports history. Take a listen.
Like, there's nothing that comes close. Man, maybe a few Met teams spending some money, some odd combinations here and there, but just a...
Wait, hold on. Paul himself. Go ahead.
Low. They're an abject failure. And listen, I think that this version of the Jets, and this is saying something about the Jets, I think it's the biggest failure in the history of New York sports. Honestly.
This year in general?
This version is the greatest failure, the most colossal failure in the history of New York sports. When you incorporate expectation and roster finances and all the things that led to, and obviously it was misplaced, hope about this team. I don't know anything, and I thought about this all night, and I hit it on the pod a little bit. I was thinking about this on the way in. Like, there's nothing that comes close. Man, maybe a few Met teams spending some money, some odd combinations here and there, but just A to Z, an absolute disaster. And I heard you, I was coming back from my daughter's soccer game. I was texting you. Good job yesterday doing some work on the Fan. And I heard your first two segments, and I texted you, and I heard you reference the Connor Hughes report.
Yes.
About how basically Aaron Rodgers only wants to come back if there is consistency, meaning he's not down for change. Who in the world does this guy think he is? You got no option, buddy. We don't want you back. You cannot throw anymore. Nobody follows your lead. It's not all his fault. I'm not going to make this just about Aaron.
You get the gist of this. Listen, Q, your assessment on the Jets. I think this Joe Douglas firing was partially a message to Aaron Rodgers, and I put this in the text earlier. You know what I'm saying? Message. Absolutely. You want consistency. You want, you want to run this shit. You're not running this shit, buddy. Here's your consistency. Joe Douglas, go pack your shit. Get the fuck up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Ulbrich, because he was talking about Ulbrich. Go pack your shit because he's going to be out of here at the end of the year. Q, talk to me about the Jets, man.
I think, you already had the funeral for the Jets. The Giants is coming up on Sunday. We're gonna have the memorial.
Giants
I already got my.
Like a couple years now.
The Giants been dead since
resurrecting, and we keep burying him.
Look, it's a lot, and it's crazy because Joe Douglas had success with this team. Like, you can't say he brutally screwed up. He made some bad decisions in key components that just made it look even worse. When you bring somebody in like Aaron Rodgers in, after you bring in all the other players that you drafted and all the other personnel players that you got from trades and all the talent that you got in, like he did good in that factor. Like, he built a stable team. But when you don't have anybody to, depend on behind that center, it's going to all fall apart. Like, it's going to all fall apart, especially when you have somebody who's, like Aaron Rodgers at this point. Like, he must have came to New York just because he probably wanted all the paparazzi and the glamour. Man, I'm running for vice president. I'm not going to this event. It's at that point, it just becomes comical. And that's not what we want, right? Because, we were looking at Jalen Brunson for being on too many commercials. Bro, you come to New York, we want to see you. If you want to do that shit and you winning games week after week, then be you, man. Do whatever you want to do. I don't care if you in the strip club with a bunch of big booty chicks, and I don't care what you're doing, bro. But when you lose it week in and week out and still saying that you feel optimistic going into your bye week, bro, that's not really telling me. That's not telling me anything, bro. It's telling me that you got to get out of here. And Joe Douglas, besides that, him bringing him in here, Hassan Reddick, like that would have fuck up. And then he hits the articles because now they're saying he doesn't even want to come back to the Jets. Yeah. Obviously, like who would have guessed that, man? It doesn't take a genius. But when you make those type of decisions and the team is not winning and you're the one who made those decisions, you're the one that's going to be to blame because, the owners are going to be the ones to hire you. And then now they hired you to make those decisions and the coaching staff and the assistants. And those are your employees, man. Those team members are your employees. You brought them here. You better make them work. We got to give me some results. And we're going to give you a little bit of time to do it. I think enough was enough. And now it's even like now people are gonna keep calling for, this kind of almost reminds me of like when the Knicks were just that bad for so long before they got Leon Rose and Westside. Everybody was like, yo, Dolan needs to sell the team. And I think that's the state that this franchise has been in. And it's been in this way for a long time, but he's not, and this goes on the owner. Like, like Woody's just not hiring the right people to run the team the way it needs to be ran, because you got the talent, but it's just a waste. Like at this point, you're having all these guys to go out there and just basically stack collect, and say that they can play. Like this team stopped playing for the Jets as well as the Giants, these two losing ass teams that we fucking all love and hate so much. We lost the locker room in week 3. I don't care a win against the Seahawks or it doesn't even matter, bro. Like I don't even care what the record was and how. We saw the eye test and we saw what they were capable of doing. We saw the missed field goals and how they just didn't have any other backups. And this happened in the previous years, right? When the Jets didn't have any other true backup quarterback after Aaron Rodgers, right? Who they have? They had Zach Wilson, and it just goes to show you. And then now they fixed it. Now they had Tyrod Taylor. But all right, so what are we going to do here? When is there going to be something to change now? Because now we can clearly see, and I'm pretty sure that they don't want to disrespect Aaron Rodgers. We all know he's a Hall of Famer, but we all know right now in this point of time, and we could have probably said this if he didn't hurt himself last year, he definitely lost it. All right, we could all see that, and he needs to go. He can't, and for him, it's preposterous for him to make those type of demands, and and it needs to happen, right? Hackett caught a stray, and that's the type of ownership you need and judgment calls that you have to be able to do. They let Aaron Rodgers own this team for way too long. It wasn't Woody and Joe Douglas. It was Aaron Rodgers' show for the first 7-8 weeks, and even last year, I would even so 2 years, which is crazy. That's not how you run an organization. And it's embarrassing to say. And, and it just sucks for New York because, when the Jets do play well and those years that they do, they have a fun division. It's fun seeing them play the Bills and the Dolphins and the Patriots. It's just not fun when any market. It's not good when a New York team is not winning.